Testing 1, 2, 3. Can you guys hear me now? Man, oh man, I think you guys can hear me. All right. So once again, welcome. Chris Briggs with Texas West Capital coming at you live just a few minutes after 11 a.m. Central Standard Time here on, what is it, Friday the 21st of April, 2023. Man, I do apologize, guys. We had a crazy electrical storm here yesterday, last night, as a matter of fact, and it knocked my computer off for a while, and I've been having all sorts of trouble with my streaming stuff and whatnot since then. So just trying to get all this working. That's why I'm a little bit late this morning. Like I said, just having a little bit of an issue with the with the software. But here we are. So good to see you guys checking in. I'm definitely not a sound tech. yeah. Like I said, again, got knocked out last night with the lightning. I've got to get used to that. We moved here from the Hill Country, just north of San Antonio last it was September, October, and I have yet to get used to the lightning and whatnot that you guys get around here just north of Houston. So it's kind of really crazy. I came from all the tornado area over here to where we get just lightning all the time, it seems like. So I apologize for that. How are y'all doing? You guys doing okay? Should we be panicking? Nah. I don't think there's any reason to panic. We'll kind of look at some charts today. We'll talk about Bitcoin to 50,000 and kind of look at that without getting overly stressed out. Again, just by, comments I see online especially, man, I don't know how you guys do it. I've said this before. I got into trading before there was really this mass internet, before there was all this social media. It was tough enough then, but man, now you guys got all this yak behind your head, right? It's always in your ear. How do you guys keep a sane head in that? It's tough, man. Let me see who's here already though. We've got Bamboo, Aeroquin, Brian Riley. What's going on, guys? Michael Johnson, hello. Andrew Bennett is here as well. Ilya is also showing up. Jack Von Mass, I see you there. Hope I didn't just screw up your name. Sometimes it seems easy enough until you actually say it, then you're like, did I really do it? Eric, good to see you. Thank you for letting me know there was no sound. Fibbo, what's up, man? Jonas, good to see you. All right, guys. So, again, so Bitcoin does this bit of a pullback and everybody freaks out all of a sudden. All of a sudden, it's the end of the world, right? And the reason why we get that is because there is still disbelief. There's still a strong disbelief that the bottom is in for Bitcoin, right? Just about any way you look at it, you can pretty much say that the bottom's in, okay? Now, everybody always comes up with this, but this, but that. I mean, you guys, you can always move the goalposts. You can continue to say, but. But realistically, you're looking at macro, you're looking at the macro bearish market structure from the all-time high. That's been broken. We're above the weekly pivot on volume and large candle spread. That's been broken. We have rallied 100% in just, around 5 months. The generally accepted definition of a bull market is that you have an extended 20+% or greater rally over the course of at least 2 months after an extended downtrend. Guys, we've got to, so just about any way you're looking at this, there are no guarantees, right? But at some point you got to go, okay, I'm probably wrong if I'm thinking here that we still need to go down, because if not, you're never going to get in. And people are doing this because emotionally they're scared to get in. They don't understand what's going on. And this is what happens at bottoms and tops, right? This disbelief stage at the bottom is what fuels the rally. It's all that, oh man, I'm scared to get in, and all this bearish stitching. Again, if you've gone with us, with TWC and you've learned Elliott wave with us, again, we talk often about wave psychology, what's going on there. And the way that the masses kind of look at the charts and what they're saying and why and how that all kind of plays out. And so we're kind of just sitting there right now as we continue to rally and everybody continues to be bearish. So then when you have this big, to them, right, this big drop, right? I mean, it's really not a big drop. But nonetheless, you rally 100%, you pull back 10%, all of a sudden it's the end of the world. We're going to retest the lows now. We're going to new lows, all these things. And really, it's a bunch of hope because there's lack of understanding of what's going on, okay? And I don't care how good your trader is. I don't care how good they were on the downtrend. If they're still saying, well, listen, man, we're most likely going to the lows again, at least, if not lower. Then really it's more emotional than anything else. And that's not meant to be an attack on anybody. That's just meant to be a reality check, right? Again, trader psychology, the market psychology, these are the things we look at. So it gets kind of interesting with that, right? Let me see here. Michael Johnson says, delete Twitter. I agree, man. Sometimes, I tell you what, guys, if I didn't need it, honestly, if I didn't need any social media for business, for what we do for our business, I would not have any. I think social media is just such a terrible thing. It does more harm than good because people are not secure enough in themselves and they don't know how to be, right? And so social media becomes this really, really terrible thing most of the time, right? Hey there, Martin. Good to see you. So anyway, that's what we got kind of going on there. Let's jump over here. Before we jump in Bitcoin, let's look at this real quick here. Hey there, LXT. Good to see you, man. Let me see what Bamboo's saying. What are you saying? Crypto is highly volatile, but yet people panic on every retrace. Yeah. Again, and again, it's easy to understand why if you really kind of sit back and you learn about it and you start thinking about it. People become fearful because they don't understand what's going to happen. This is not just in trading, it's in life, right? But in trading, it becomes really detrimental because so many people get in and they think just because they can get in that they should be in, right? Without learning. How many times on social media you guys go out there and you see somebody talking about how, this or that's going to happen or whatever, or how they're hoping or how they're, and in crypto especially, it's like this badge of honor to be a degen, right? It's this badge of honor to YOLO into some stupid low cap and get rugged, right? It's not an honor, guys. That's not trading. And it has nothing to do, and I see other experienced traders out there trying to tell you guys this, and you always hit back with the, oh, you're just jealous. Or no, we're trying to get you to understand there's no skill in putting money into something really low and hoping it goes up, right? There's no skill in that. And the odds are, if that's what you're doing, you're most likely going to lose because it's the same mentality from a psychological and emotional standpoint. It's the same thing, the same reason why people buy dollar scratch-off tickets, right? It's this hope, well, I can put in a few bucks and become rich in one scratch kind of idea. And sure, it happens sometimes, but what you'll see is most of the people who make money like that, they end up losing it all. There's been shows on TV, if you watch TV, for years now about how lottery winners, right? The big ones, they win, 300 million, 50 million, 10 million, whatever, right? And how they're broke or worse off than what they were before they won the money like 3 years later. And it all has to do with the psychology of it, right? It's that same mentality that's with that. That's with the dollar scratch off. That's with, hey, listen, I'm a trader because I threw a couple of bucks into some very low cap shitcoin and I got lucky and it went up, and that makes me a trader. See, and then you start drinking your own Kool-Aid. You start believing. Next thing you know, again, you lose it all. So we try and work all the time with hopefully getting people to understand that, but people are people. They want the easy way. Human beings tend to be lazy, and they, like I said, they want the easy way. They want the quick way. They don't want to put in work or the things that are required. I always talk about it, the discipline, the focus, the consistency. Don't want to practice doing things the correct way, right? And if you don't do that, you're going to lose your money. If you're lucky enough to make money, you're going to lose it. Oh, no, I won't. You don't know me, man. I'm different. You're not different. I promise you guys. If your mentality is that way, you're going to make the same mistakes everybody else does. And this is your wake-up call to change it, right? It's to go, okay, man, what if he's right? I really need to do something about it because I really want to use this to make wealth, to create wealth over time. If you're in it just for the quick draw, if you're in it, if every trade is about how much money you can make, you're not going to make any money overall. You're really not. Your trading should be about your system and developing your system and tweaking it and getting it better. If you concentrate on that, the money comes. If you concentrate on the money with every trade, you won't get it, guys. Okay? So just letting you guys know. Fibbo Swanee says, Pepe, right? He says, if you can learn to create a state of mind that's not affected by the market's behavior, the struggle will cease to exist. Yeah, exactly. And that comes from experience, guys. It comes from practicing, from doing the things that you want to do or that you need to do. You probably don't want to do it, right? but doing it consistently, being focused on it, having that discipline. I'm telling you guys, if you can't do that, you're not going to make it. And you'd be better off putting your money somewhere else. Because people like myself, like a lot of these other traders that I'm starting to get to know here online, right? Real traders, right? We're going to take your money. And it's not that we have anything against you personally. It's just that you're that liquidity we're looking for. So if you don't want to be that liquidity, you have to change what you're doing. If you continue to do the same thing over and over again and you expect a different result, well, what's that the definition of, right? Crazy, right? Insanity, right? So yeah. Jay Andrews, what's up, man? I see you there. Would the counter argument for the bottom being in for Bitcoin be is the top end for the DXY? Would the counter argument be? I don't know that would be a counter argument. It would be if the top's in for the DXY, then it adds more confidence to the idea that the bottom would be in for Bitcoin. But remember, things don't move exactly right in tandem. Sometimes or exactly opposite, right? Sometimes Bitcoin, I've shown you guys before, where it moves along with the DXY, right? But yeah, I mean, if the top's in for the DXY, then generally we should expect more likely than not for the Bitcoin bottom to be in. But again, these are all different markets. And anything crazy can happen. You guys see what's going on with bonds and inverted yield curves, and the rally still continues, and all these things that don't normally happening, right? So things are always the same until they aren't anymore when it comes to trading. Let me see here. P-Doc, what's going on? Are you rich yet? I don't know. Are you? Fadi, what's going on, man? Good to see you. LXT says Bitcoin wave 2 in. And then what'd you say there? Now pump it. I had to read that. I couldn't understand what you're saying there. So yeah, we'll check over there real quick here, guys. So just want to check in with the Nasdaq here. The Nasdaq itself, again, we have this nice descending wedge looking thing here. We broke out. We hit this previous support as resistance, pulled back, retested as support. We've broken out above it. Now we're using it as support. Really, we're looking for that 13,720 and 91.91 area there. If we can break out above that, again, that is that mid-August swing high. I've been talking to you guys about this since mid-August of last year. And that's kind of the key point we need to get above. It was even the key point for Bitcoin, right? It was at 25,100 and change or whatever area. Again, coming up there, we want to see that break there. I like that we're above the weekly pivot. That's great. I like that we had the breakout and retest of the resistance here. And so now we're just looking for that follow through higher. If we do that, I think there's a really great chance we go to a new all-time high. Let me see here. Hank, what's going on, man? He says, top argument is that the 12-hour stochastic crossing below the 20. So that's his preferred way to look at the markets, and usually looks pretty all right. So got that as well. Kimasabi says DXY going down tends to reduce headwinds. Not exactly an opposite correlation. Yeah, exactly. It's the whole idea that as the value of the dollar drops relative to other things, right? Things that are denominated in dollars, then that takes more of them to do that, right? So the price of a thing rises, right? So I mean that's kind of what you're looking at, but that's just one thing out of everything, right? That doesn't guarantee anything, but it is something that you can watch is just a sort of idea of, okay, so at least there's that downward pressure on price is coming off now, right? And then so that's one thing. Then you have whatever else you've got going in there. Let me see here. What is the 55 EMA on the weekly for the Nasdaq? Let me see here. I'll tell you. You said just the EMA? All right. Moving average exponential. There we go. And with that, we have 55. And it's sitting right here, right below the weekly pivot, right there at around 12,457 or so. So that's kind of where we're sitting there. Like I said, right below that weekly pivot. Now you got three levels of support here. You have the 55 EMA here. You have the weekly pivot, and then you have this support resistance flip area here, right? So it's got support, you got resistance, and now it's working as support here. And so, yeah, looking for that. You're welcome. All right. So anyway, Nasdaq looks like it's doing all right here. Let's jump on over to to the Bitcoin. We'll look at the local chart here in a minute. Let's start with this one. So this is the first thing, just a few different lines we're looking at here, right? So macro-wise, you've kind of got this big resistance that we've popped out above. Retest as support, and then breakout of this resistance, which we tested it as resistance and now is as support. And here we go, kind of pulling back toward it. This is the BLX on the weekly. So, we'll see how this all plans out here. Now, the Stochc RSI is overbought, but the RSI itself does have room. So, the Stochc RSI can stay overbought for a while. As you've seen, it's done a lot of times here. Matter of fact, last time we were at the bear market low, you can see it stayed overbought the entire rally up 78.6%, right? Which means it stayed overbought. Let's see, it went from there to about there. So about 140 days. We've been overbought right here now off this low for so far for about 91 days. So as you can see, we could continue rallying up higher here. I mean, there you go. You see, it's 140 days, right? I mean, so we're well off that right now. So there is the argument that we could stay overbought longer. And of course, you can see that, then with the RSI, it hit overbought, pulled back, hit overbought, pulled back, then rejected overbought and came down. And we haven't even hit overbought yet. So again, I just do that because a lot of times people get in here and they get all scared because it's overbought. And the way people, I think, are trying to learn these momentum oscillators is once it gets to overbought, then it has to automatically get rejected and fall back down. But of course, that isn't the case, right? Now, overbought just means when you hit overbought, what that means is you're in a strong bullish trend. When you hit oversold, what that means is you're in a strong bearish trend. And so it can stay overbought or oversold for an extended period of time, right? It doesn't mean it necessarily has to flip at that point. Okay, guys? So just something to think about there, because again, guys, I want you guys to be smart about this when you're looking. I don't want you to think that just because you get overbought or oversold, all of a sudden price has to flip, right? Now, the other thing is, so again, if we're looking at 78.6%, I mean, you're looking up here at around 50,000, guys, right? And that makes sense. It's right here at this resistance support area again. And we've been talking about the possibility that maybe we get this strong move up, right? That maybe this tends to be similar to this, right? This was 2019. What's interesting is this current area looks a lot like this kind of area right here. We had the breakout above. Remember, everybody was, if you were here at the time, everybody's like, oh, it has to get rejected to 6,000 and go, way down low. Same kind of idea when we're here at the 30,000, right? Oh my God, it has to go back down to the lows or lower, right? That's kind of the same argument here as we kind of get above that, right? As we get above that kind of into 30 there. And as you can see, that gives you what they actually had here. You end up having this rally up of around 86%. Okay. Pull that off a little bit there. Now, if that was to happen from here, again, and again, we're not saying it has to. I'm just trying to help you guys understand here. But that gets you up here around that 50,000 area. So again, same kind of target move on that, right? The same kind of idea on that. I don't know. I just kind of noticed this here. I don't know if this is going to hit it. Yeah, it does actually. Again, we've got this area right here. I don't know, if there's something similar going on right here. But again, when you're looking at it and you're looking for structure, these are kind of the things you watch, right? Because when we look in a minute here, you're going to see that locally, all we've done is pull back to support, right? Fibble says that he has a $50,000 target too. Let's go, as we talked about last week. That's right. Hank says life is simple. Either the stochastic method keeps working and we'll go up fast soon, or it'll stop working as bull run is as good, certainly over. At least somebody called it a bull run. Again, I keep getting people often and they kind of get really upset with the idea that I say, this is a bull run here, right? Oh, no, it can't be. Because when retail traders come in, they think of a bull run as a breakout here. as these new all-time high area, right? But again, as we talked about, generally accepted definition of a bull run, right, of a bull market is after you have an extended decline, you have a rally of at least 2 months of at least 20% over that time, right? And this is exactly the definition that the SEC uses. So I don't know if you need a more a more definitive kind of source for that, right? Because they're the law, basically, when it comes to trading securities, right? So, but yeah, when you look at it, so I mean, again, right now, guys, we've just pulled back to support. That doesn't mean we can't fall further. It doesn't mean this can't be 5 waves up somehow here or whatever. But what I'm saying is, if you immediately assume, oh my God, we have to drop down all the way down here now because we've pulled back a little bit, again, you need to check your emotional bias, right? Hank says, I think we break up, by the way, violently, in 12 to 48 hours. I do time in this case. Yeah, I mean, and so the thought about this, okay, so if we think about that, it makes a lot of sense because you've had this sideways consolidation here, then you had the break and the pullback to the consolidation. So everybody's very bearish here. Everybody's trying to go short now, right? And if you just break up here, all of a sudden those shorts they get underwater fast, right? And that fuels that kind of short squeeze into the breakout. And all of a sudden, everybody's got to cover their shorts and or go long, right? As well as anybody else trying to go long. Now, we're not saying that there's going to be everybody in the market doing that. It's still a small portion of the market. But when you compare that portion of the market against those who actually have the short-term hands, right? Remember, all that short-term stuff was sold all throughout here. There's not very much of it that's been accumulated by anybody other than the bigger players. So there's a lot less people here than there was here and here and here and here. All these lows along the downtrend, there's a lot fewer people that have enough supply to put in the market to really do anything with price, right? And so if that's the case and you pop it up higher, they're SOL, right? Does that make sense, guys? Fibaswani says, the more shorts, the better. Thank you in advance. I know this sounds like a bull thing, right? But seriously, guys, these are the things you have to look at. If you're not paying attention, I don't know how else to help you, right? Here's the bigger thing. Here are the macro lines. I've posted this chart on Twitter, guys. This is kind of my macro view, what I'm looking at, the various areas of support and resistance, right? And again, you had the big breakout here, off the long-term downtrend here. And then you had this other part of the downtrend here, which had your first two swing, your all-time high and then your first real swing high after that on the pullback. And as you can see, that's where we came back and retested a few times as support, right? And then, of course, you have this other line, which we've seen, which is this ascending kind of resistance, which just so happens to give us multiple touches of resistance before breaking out and then testing it as support here, right? We also have this support area, and you have to forgive me, this is the Bitcoin USDT chart on Coinbase, so it doesn't go back very far other than May of 21, right? But you have this support that came across here into May of 22, right? Which goes across here, which has also been that horizontal support. And then you have this parabolic kind of curve here, right? So again, we could drop down toward, 26, 25,000, right? And get down here to the daily or the weekly pivot area, getting us near that parabolic curve. And then again, you would see that kind of like what we saw previously here at around March of this year, where you have that strong rally up, right? You could see something like that coming out of it. Okay. So, and the other way to think about this, guys, is as new traders, you often, you want to trade everything that you can, right? But I'm telling you right now, the newer or the less, what I mean by new trader is the less consistent you are, right? If you are consistently profitable, then go ahead and think about trading both ways. If you are not consistently profitable, month after month, year after year, I would strongly suggest that you only trade in the direction of the trend. And on the daily, this trend is up. So you're looking for reasons to buy the dip, not reasons to sell rejection. Why is that? Because if you're trying to sell rejection, looking for lows way down, you keep getting hit like these guys over here in February, these guys over here again in February, these guys over here in March, and again in March and April, and and so you get caught, right? Because you got so much tunnel vision. So, again, look for reasons to long. We're around support. I'm looking, this is what I'm telling Discord, our members. I'm saying, look for a reason to long. We had a few trying to get in early, trying to get in on, without any real confirmation on that. But you're looking to get in long and you're looking for confirmation. So let's kind of zoom in here real quick, guys, and see what we're looking at here. So it is possible, right now you can see we're bouncing off the 15-minute S1 pivot there, right? And we may have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 5 waves here, right? And then here we have ABC might be a W and an X, and an ABC is Y. We're coming down to the EQ. I think that's the 4-hour. No, is it? What is that? Where do we get that at? Oh, it is the 4 hour. It's this 4 hour. Sorry, there's a lot of wick there. It's this 4-hour demand structure here in this wick. And we're just kind of finding some support around the EQ there. We like to see that. You can see that the 4-hour RSI and Stochk RSI are nearing a breakout of oversold. Of course, the 1-hour, though, has pulled back. Now, again, I would be cautious. You want to be cautious because the 1-hour is still way up here. And again, as I said, you could still have some further back, right? So what am I looking at? I'm looking at the possibility right now that we have a 1, 2, and then we have a 1 and potentially a running flat here as a 2. So it's ABC down, A, B is a triangle, and then C up for B. And then we've got this overlapping ending diagonal potentially going on here for wave C of 2. The pullback so far on this is only, let's see here, is only about 70.5%, 65% of wave B. So, generally when you're looking at that 61.8 to 70%, that's usually a sweet spot for a running flat. And here's the thing, if it's a running flat, that's a very bullish pattern, right? Because remember, the idea of a running pattern, a running triangle, a running flat, is this idea, right, that your wave B could not be kept in check by where wave A starts. It breaks out above wave A because you get so much comparatively bullishness, right, compared to or supply or demand compared to supply, right? And then, it follows through that when you pull back, there's just not enough supply to give it a proper pullback below wave A, right? Now, that could still happen too. This doesn't have to be a running flat here. If we were to break down, below wave A there, it could be an expanded flat. And again, that's what we'd be looking at, right? We're looking at basically if we're breaking down through this kind of this support area we're at here at the high volume node. So this, what is this? Around 27,700 to 28,200, somewhere right around there. If we're breaking down below that more impulsively, I'm looking at the weekly pivot at around 26,810, and then the daily pivot after that at 25,740 or so. Those are like my downward targets on that, right? And that would give us, in getting, especially getting that daily pivot, would take us down below wave A and give us an expanded flat. But man, oh man, if we're at a bottom here or nearby, and we're rallying, we should expect a big move up, right? And in this case, it would be, we've got a 1, 2, 1, 2. So we're looking at, it'd be 3 of 3. And so that gets us this target. It gets us this wave circle 3 target off this running flat right around 43,170. And the minimum expected wave 3 off the initial 1, 2 here, right? Let me see here. I'm gonna go put this in here. I think that's my 51, 52 area up there. Let's see. Yeah, right here, about that. And so, well, that would get us then. Yeah, so that's going to overextend because again, 1, 2, 1, 2. That would potentially be looking up here toward that 51,000 area, right? Or this 47 to 51,000 kind of area, depending on how this played out. But again, with the big move up, this wave 3 could overextend, which just makes the other wave 3 overextend even more. So this is kind of where we're at, right? This is what I'm looking at. There's no promises, no guarantees either way. If we break down lower here, again, we'll look lower. Generally, I have that weekly pivot target and that daily pivot target. The most bullish thing that could happen is, again, whether it's from here or we come down to the weekly pivot, we kind of continue holding support at this area, right? Around that weekly pivot. If we continue holding support there and rally back up, that would be strong. Again, we do have this potential parabola going on here as well. And as you get toward the end of the parabola, again, you start getting to that blow off top kind of area, right? So, yeah, Sarang, how you doing? Yeah, this red line is that parabola. It's just this. Let me get this out of the way here. Close this off. There we go. It's just this parabolic rally here. You see this right here? That's all it's kind of showing us, is that we've got that still going on there. So that's what it is. If you're wondering what this is that comparison that I was talking about, right? This is that 2019 kind of comparison thing that we're looking at similarly where we are. Let me kind of pull this in. Let's do the 4-hour here. So this right here again, this is that 2019. It's going to get it all. That's this same area right here. So you get, you get kind of this move up here and you pull back to this previous support, right? That's all we're doing right here locally is we're pulling back to this previous support. We're pulling back here. This box is that same kind of previous support. And then, of course, that's the idea that, it rallied 86% or whatever there for then. But again, it doesn't mean that's what has to happen. But I'm just showing you some structure here because too many people are saying, oh, it can't happen. All this stuff can't happen when it's happened previously, similar things. So we'll see what happens. But again, what am I looking at? I'm looking for a breakout of this descending support that turns into resistance. You can see that we keep getting rejected here, right? It was support here, and then we broke down and resisted, resistance. If we can get a breakout above that and carry above that 15-minute pivot, which is 28,443 area, if we get an impulsive breakout above that, that's going to hint that wave 2 is probably complete. We want to see it. We want to follow through with another impulsive breakout above the hourly pivot up here at around 29,830 or so. And beyond that, then we have this, if this count is correct, we've got the wedge resistance, which is, pretty close to this green kind of horizontal resistance right around 30,500 or so. That would be that next area. That'll get us above wave 4. Again, if the count's correct, and this is wave 4, we break out above that. That says wave 5 is done, which should mean that wave C is done. But we have to get above wave B, which just happens to be the swing high here at 31,025 and a half, in order to add confidence to this count. So that's kind of how we do there, right? So again, this road, and if we do that, as Hank is saying, based on the way he's looking at it, as Fibbo has been saying, looking toward that 50,000. As I'm looking at it, there's a lot of disbelief that bottom is in. And that disbelief is what creates FOMO, which is what creates, shorts, all this thing that fuels a big move up, right? Because people are going to short here. They're shorting down here, right? Looking for that move lower. And then all of a sudden, it just takes a little bit more of an order to go up at one time, right? Again, you get your bigger players. Sends it right up, and it goes quick, right? And it goes quick. And as it goes quick, everybody that's short here all of a sudden is underwater. And they're either getting liquidated or they're taking that loss and jumping out to cover their shorts and going long. So liquidations, which just means their shorts are getting filled by longs, right? And or going, that's the first thing that gives it more fuel as it goes up. And then you've got them and other people jumping in, going long. There's the second point of fuel, right? That's all it takes. It just takes the market, the retail players are so fragile. It just takes a little bit of a chip to get it going. And that creates this domino effect, right? Because of human emotion, right? Because all of a sudden it has to go down to swing lows. It has to go down to new lows. So psychologically, emotionally, that's what the shorting is going on here. And that's where they're looking, rather than say getting in here and saying, well, this is a good place to probably take some profit. We're at this support here that's been going on for, that went on there for, basically a month. We have a month of support here. We got this high volume node, but hey, you know what? I'm going to keep shorting it down. I wouldn't do it that way. For me, if I'm shorting from up here, I'm looking at this to be a target. And then I'm going to see what happens here. I want to lock in my money. I want to make sure that I'm getting profit. But again, if you're not consistently profitable and you're trying to short this down when the overall trend is up and you're looking at that daily, you're doing it wrong and you'll probably lose your money. You're probably still looking way down lower. And again, if this thing pops all of a sudden, you're done, right? That's what happens. That you become part of that greater liquidity, right? Let me see here. Let me see here. Who is this? Let me see. What's your name here? Cami. Am I going to screw this up? Cameo Donaron. Good to see you, man. Says you really think we're looking at a 1-2-1-2-1-2? No, 1-2-1-2. Just two. I don't. Me personally, once you're getting to the 3-1-2s, I'm really hesitant about that. But yeah, 1-2-1-2, sure. Again, the idea here. I'll zoom out a little bit further here so you can see it. Maybe this is the idea here. Coming off the June low, right? You've got a 1-2, and then we've got a 1, potentially 2 with a running flat here. That's what I'm looking at. Yeah. So yeah, and again, you say highly unlikely, but I don't know, maybe because you're thinking of 3-1-2s, so some other kind of count. But yeah, this is not a highly unlikely count, not at all. Especially when you consider that we still, for now anyway, remain above significant support areas. Again, we're above the weekly pivot. We are currently, using this month-long sideways here, this base as support. We're above this 5-month or whatever plus parabolic curve support here, right? I mean, we're above that that ascending. Where was that right here? This ascending support, right? We're above this descending resistance here, right? We're above this descending resistance. So I mean, again, to say it's highly unlikely doesn't really make a lot of sense when we look at it, right? And we look at everything else on top of that that's kind of supporting the idea that potentially we could be there, right? Now, a lot of people go, oh my God, it's an ugly weekly candle. Sure it is. But the week isn't over yet, right? And, again, we've still got today, Saturday and Sunday, right? What does it take for this not to look like such an ugly count, right? What, 29,000 here? What, $1,000 up? All of a sudden we're sitting up, around here and it looks like a hammer, right? Instead of this kind of almost a bearish engulfing, right? I had somebody talking about the 2-week candle. I mean, my God, nobody trades on the 2-week candle, guys. Nobody with any real significance does. But when you look at something like this, you go, oh my God, the 2-week candle. All you're saying is I'm looking for something to support my narrative, right? I'm looking for something to give my bias some bite, right? Because, my God, look at what this 2-week candle looked like over here. All we did was dip a little bit and then back up. Huge move up, right? But again, this 2-week candle here, and this 2-week candle actually started on the 10th, right? So, yeah. So this one's going to end at this week. But again, if we're up $1,000 all of a sudden or more, right? It doesn't look like that. And with where we're at, $1,000 rally is nothing, right? $1,000 rally from here is from where we are right now. Let me see if we can do this here. It's 3.8%, guys. It gets us right to this previous area of resistance support. That's it. And if this thing actually pops higher all of a sudden and you rally up, you're getting up here closer to like 2,000, well, all of a sudden that turns completely different, right? All of a sudden, instead of that little thing at the base there, right? Which one was that? Oh, I don't remember where we were there. Anyway, instead of having the candle that looks kind of like this, right? Let me see if I can do this here real quick. Instead of having that candle that looks like this, more or less, instead you end up having a candle that looks like this, right? You see how quick you can change that? So, again, if you're looking at larger time frames, you can note that something's looking like that, but you got to wait. You got to wait until you're getting near the end there, especially when you're talking about something as volatile as, say, crypto, right? Where you can have, especially with Bitcoin, look at this right here. Look at this 2-day rally right here off this low, right? What if this is this bottom right here? What if this turns in today? And then you have Saturday and you have Sunday, right? All of a sudden, off the low there, you're looking at what? 13%, right? What does that do for this? 13%? Get you like that. Another new high, right? So again, guys, I'm hopefully what I'm not trying to convince you that it's going up. You're going to believe whatever you're going to believe. But what I'm trying to do is to get you to get out of the emotional thinking and get into the point where you start looking at, instead of saying, oh, nothing can possibly happen or that can't possibly happen, start looking at, okay, well, realistically, what are we doing? We're still sitting on support, multiple areas of support. And so until we actually break down below that, why are we thinking about the swing lows? Why? So you can say, oh, I guessed right up at the top here. If that's what you're trying to do as a trader, it's not going to get you very far, right? So yeah, again, and maybe this count is even correct. Maybe this isn't a 1-2-1-2 here, right? There are multiple different ways because of this month-long sideways here. There's a couple different ways you can count, which are not really orthodox ways of looking at it because price isn't hitting those expected levels. But, the count could still potentially be correct. But right now I'm going with what would likely be the most obvious at this point and then working it from there, right? Does that make any sense, guys? Let me see here. Cameron, you're saying somehow you saw a third 1-2 in there? Yeah. Again, I thought maybe, they just, I mean, again, if you're looking at this another way, we could potentially do this, right? You can go 1-2 here, and then you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So that would have to be it, and then you get a 2 here, right? So you could go maybe 1, 2, and then maybe you're looking at 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Maybe. I mean, I could even potentially see that. I just don't like, again, this is that unorthodox way of looking at it, right? Because your wave 3, it doesn't go up 1.618, right? So you get your wave 1 here, you pull back for your wave 2, and in this, this case, you're basically getting 61.8 instead of 1618 for your wave 3, right? Wave 4, and then wave 5, 78.6. And you get this smaller one here. Now, if that were to be the case, I could see, again, I would still say, it still says a powerful move up, right? Because if this is going to be a 1-2 here, right, that would be, a 3 of a 3 of a 3, right? And so you're going to have that bigger, more extended move up as you get all this consolidation here, right? But, again, for me, the more orthodox way of looking at it is this get you a 1-2 here, like we have it, but then a flat, right? You're still kind of arguing with the idea that there's still this short 3 and this short 5. And I struggle with that a little bit. But, again, if we're looking for the bottom here, how do we make it work, right? And so that's it. Yeah, I'll say that. Yeah, okay. But again, no promises either way. But until we're actually breaking down through that weekly support, like impulsively and closing out below it, I think your default really has to be that we're heading up higher. And again, from where we're at, the move that makes the most sense, the move that creates the most pain, right? Especially now that everybody's getting sufficiently bearish now, is this rather strong push up through here. And if we actually look at structure, right? If we're looking at, well, what's going on with it? Let's get to this other chart right here, right? Yeah, we can even jump out to the weekly here. This is what we're looking at, guys, right? And so what's happened? So anybody that's been bearish, right? What did they say? They said, oh, well, we haven't broken out above here. And they said, oh, well, we haven't broken out above here. And then they said, oh, well, we haven't broken out above here. By the way, that's that mid-August swing high right there, right? And then they said, and now they say, oh, well, we haven't broke above here. But it's the same people who continue to say this, right? They just move the goalpost every time. They have no real invalidation level. They just keep saying, oh, well, now this next level. Well, now this next level. And as a trader, guys, it's imperative, if you're not doing it, that you understand, however you're looking at the chart right there, that you have a validation level and an invalidation level. And your validation level tells you, listen, I'm probably more right than wrong here. Your invalidation level tells you, listen, I am wrong. The way I'm looking at it is wrong. And being wrong is not a bad thing. Staying wrong is a bad thing. Staying wrong is what loses you money, okay? So again, what you'll notice for most of your bearish people out there is if you go back through their tweets, if they haven't deleted them yet, right? But they're going to say this. You're going to see that they said, oh, this here. Heck, they might even have said this right here to begin with, right? And this rejection. Again, when we're talking about that 2 week, by the way, don't use time frames people don't use. Nobody trades on the 2 week, guys. Anybody that matters, right? Look at this. This is the weekly. Remember when this one happened? This almost this inverted hammer here. Sorry, I got a little bit excited. I'm getting some hiccups here. But remember when this happened, and I told you guys, I said, really, this is a bearish candle. And I said, but we need follow through. I said, if we don't get follow through, and instead we break out above it, it's very bullish, and that means we're heading up toward this area, right? You guys that have been following me, you know, I said that. If you don't believe me, you can look in the YouTube videos, right? That we've posted, the streams, right? And look back around this time, and you'll see this is what I said. And we gave you the possibility it would go even higher there, right, to the 30,000 area. But this is it. And all it did was just dip a little bit here, right? And then boom, right back up. So even if you're concerned about the 2 week here, right, which again, you shouldn't be because it's the 2 week and people don't generally trade the 2 week, anybody that really matters, right? If this is what you're concerned about, I say the same thing I said back then. If we get something like that, right, it has to show follow through. If it doesn't show follow through, if you just get something like this and you're breaking out above it, you should expect a big move up. And if we're talking big move up, we're talking probably 50,000. It gets us back up here to this wick here, right? Which if we're looking on the monthly, doesn't have it right here on the monthly, but yeah, again, looking up toward this kind of resistance area, upper 40s, lower 50s, right? God, this chart. Yeah, right about, you know, kind of this area right here, right? So again, you know, again, I'm not here to convince you that it has to go to 50,000. I'm here to tell you, listen, there's a good chance it could, and this is how it would do it. And if you're looking at the chart all these other ways, you got to check and see, you got to be honest with yourself about your emotional bias, right? Everybody else can see it usually, except for us, right? We're the ones that are in it. We're the ones that are in it. It's hard to see that happening. And so, you know, when somebody says that, we get all defensive. No, we're not. No, we're not. We probably are, right? So, you know, to be a trader is to really kind of understand what you're doing, where your emotions are, where you are psychologically, rather than just flat out denying it, you know, like, oh, it can't possibly be, right? Especially when you're sitting at areas like this. Is there a resistance above us up here? Sure. Yeah. And again, we've got lower targets there. And I'm not saying it can't go down lower, but what I'm saying is until we're actually doing that breaking down, to say that right here we have to go down lower just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Does that make sense, guys? Hopefully that makes sense. That's all I'm trying to get across here. Fibaswani, what'd you say there, man? What makes a good technician is someone that identifies the reversals, not moving the goalpost. That's right. But, you know, again, as retail traders, we're often really scared about losing money. And you have to become comfortable losing money as a trader because you are going to lose money, period, end of sentence. It is the only guarantee in trading is that you're going to lose money from time to time. And the less consistent you are because you're newer, right, and you haven't really gotten all this stuff that I talk about down just yet, is that you're going to lose money more than you're going to make money. So it becomes really important to practice proper risk management because that's going to save yourself. Because as I always show you guys, look, this is the reality of it. When you start out as a trader, this is it. This is what's going on. This is you when you start out. This is you as you're learning. And as long as you're learning properly and practicing getting better, then eventually you start turning up. The problem is you're going to lose money in the beginning. Without proper risk management, this right here is going to be you out within 3 months. 90+%, 95+% of the new market participants are out in 90 days and having lost all the money they initially put in and sometimes even more. Because they didn't, the first thing you should learn as a trader, very first thing is proper risk management. Because this is going to be, you are not special. You are not some wonderkin. Okay? This right here is not you. It will never be you. It is not going to be you. And that's okay. This is where all of us are. This was me when I first started. I'm willing to bet this was Fibbo when he first started. Hank as well, right? Yeah, these are guys that I know that have been trading a while, right? But this is what happens. And as a new trader, you often refuse to accept that you're going to lose money Because often when you come in as a trader, you come in with a small account. And your only thought is, how can I turn $100 into $1 million in the next week? Or like a lot of people, tomorrow. That's the way I was when I first started, right? But that kind of thinking is exactly why you're going to lose that money. It's exactly why you lost that money. You have to be realistic. This is not realistic. This is realistic. So risk management should always be the very first thing you should learn as a trader. And then go on and learn something else. The risk management, that is your holy grail. That is your secret sauce. That is your golden goose. It's not some system. Everybody out there is trying to sell systems. I have systems I use. They work great for me. In our mentor program, I teach our students my systems, right? But the goal is so that they have a base, somewhere to start, not so they just use that system forever, because everything that makes me who I am as a trader or investor is different from everybody else, right? And so the odds are you have to take these systems that you learn and move them a bit, right? You have to work with them a bit so that you understand how they work best for you, right? Even with Elliott Wave, you still have to learn the system and how to do it correctly, but you have to then learn what time frame should you be trading, right? Is there anything else that pivots or anything else that can help you understand how that price action may play out generally in Elliott Wave? Okay? Hank says it's the price you pay for admission. It is, right? He says you will only really, what'd you say here? You will only really take risk management seriously once you've lost it all. If you haven't and you still think you're taking it seriously, you're wrong. That's for most people, that's the way it tends to work out. I'm not saying you can't take it seriously prior to that, but actually lying to yourself about it, right? Saying, oh, I'm using risk management, or oh, I don't need it, or things like that, and then losing it really hammers home the point. If you're still thinking and paying attention afterward, right? So again, this is your default. This is what you're going to do. If you're thinking anything different, you're going to lose your money here. You're going to be out of the market here. And you're going to complain about how crypto whales or Wall Street or the SEC or somebody stole your money, or Sam Freed stole your money, right? Of course he did, but that's beside the point. So anyway, kind of looking at that. Let me see here. What's the Qs look like? So this is something I've had with the Qs for a while now, a couple of months, right? And so we've had this move up and we had the breakout. Generally, let me see. Let me kind of get these off here. Or actually, I can just go ahead and get them off here for right now. Potentially looking at something like this here, right? The idea that maybe we have a 1-2-1-2 here. And that would give us then this move out, right? Well, it's either that or this is a 1-2-3-4-5 here. Could be a leading diagonal, right? To pull back and go up. If it is, we would expect a breakdown into probably this 295 area before kind of taking it back up, right? But again, right here, what can we look at? Let's take everything else off here. We are right here at the high volume node, right? So if we take all this trading that's been done, right, since back here in October of 2019 to now, this price level right about here, right around $293 or 293 points there, was where most of the trading took place across those years. The second greatest point where it's taking place is right here where we're at, right around 316. Okay? Now, again, if you are, and you pay attention, here comes some lessons, guys, okay? If you are a larger player, you do not sell into this here. See this low volume node? You don't sell into that generally. Because why? Because this low volume node tells you that the market is not really interested in that level compared to here. What does that mean? That means there is going to be liquidity here. There is going to be liquidity here. There's going to be a lot less liquidity here. And if you're pushing down big supply, all of a sudden, you might get some sells up in here maybe, but you're going to drop down here before you're getting really any more sells. And so you're chasing price down. You don't want to do that. So what you'll often see is you'll see like this right here, right? You'll see this wick down into this lower volume node and then a pop back up higher. Okay, guys? If it does, look right here. Look right here. See this breakdown into the node here? And look at how big. Outside bar, large bear, bullish engulfing candle, right? Right at that low there. Because there's no liquidity there. Stop selling. Nobody's going to sell there, right? and then boom, the buying comes in, right? Then you buy on that. But if it does break down through the node, through the low volume node, then you're it's going to chase it to the next higher volume node. So definitely something that you want to see there. Okay. So yeah, so there's the cues right here. Again, mid-August swing high, right? That's still on all these charts, guys. Stocks, Bitcoin, whatever. That's the area that you want to get. If you get above it, that's your first real big signal that the bottom's probably in. Okay, if you're looking for a signal. So we're still kind of not there yet. We hit this. We filled in this gap over here, this weekly gap, right, from back in August. Have a little bit higher to go to actually get out there. Let me see here. What else do we got? Again, looking at Bitcoin kind of related stocks, right? So Riot, we've been looking at this. We had this nice big volume, large candle spread breaking out above the pivot here. We've pulled back to that. Again, it's the pivot there, but it's derived. Those of you taking the pivots, of course, you know how they're derived now, right? So right there from the resistance you had there, right? And so you get this big break through it. So you usually come back and retest it. You head up, and that way you don't leave a fair value gap there. You've got one right here, but if you're coming down, that's probably where you're coming to down here, down around $6.50. But again, if this is going to be a, well, let me zoom in a bit here. Let me see what that might be. Where's the swing low? Is it this? 516, 518. So this is your swing low here. Man, I mean, you've got this big rally here. It gets within a penny of the swing high. To me, this looks probably more like an ABC or a WXY. So in that case, you're probably looking at like a 1, 2, 3, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 3, 4, 5 here. So you get a 1, 2. And so with that, I mean, locally here, kind of looking for this rally, which you've already got here. You got the 1618, yeah. So you've got the 1618 here. But you continued up here. This looks like a 1, 2, maybe a 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So maybe 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll get a 5 up, maybe higher here. But again, look where we're at. Right here, getting into this low volume node. So we'll see if we don't get a rapid rally up out of there. The daily Stochh RSI is reset down into oversold. We've got hidden bearish divergence on the RSI. I could see this, if not grabbing a little bit of bid by the end of the day, potentially when the market opens next week, grabbing a bid and rallying up, up there higher off that, right? So, yeah, kind of looking at there. What else do we got here? The Dow, again, we've been looking for this 3-wave pullback for, all week basically here, right? So we've got this rally up. We've dipped down lower. Now, if I look at this, if we're looking for 5 down, we're 1, 2, 3, 4. We've still got a 5 to go. And so, again, I've been looking at this all week. Next week, these pivots are going to change, and this S1 will probably pull up right up here until we fill in that gap. So if we don't get the move down here by the end of today, I think wave 4 will probably just pull down here, maybe around 33,592 or so. Finish that wave 4, and then we'll get that rally and break out higher. Potentially getting us a move up here around 34,390, something like that, to finish out potentially a wave 5 there, right? But again, I think we still got that a little bit up there. But, here on the 4-hour, I mean, you can see we're bottoming out and overbought or oversold, curling over, getting ready to cross, bullishly there. Again, I don't necessarily expect it to happen today. I think it'd probably be better to happen, and with Riot and whatnot happening probably, beginning of next week when the market's open. But yeah, looking for some further upside. First. And by the way, this is kind of some pushing on counts here. It could not, I mean, it maybe could be, this could be 1, 2, and maybe this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this might actually be 1, 2, and 3 is up here, and this is 4. And then we get 5 of 3 still coming up at that target, right? So we could still be expanding a bit further, leading us through, potentially even a rally all week long next week. Let me see here. What else we got here? Oh, the dollar, right? Let's talk about the dollar. The DXY, right? Again, just to kind of remind you where we're at here. I'm not a big fan of head and shoulders patterns, but it looks like there might be one here. Very small shoulders. Kind of a really, dare I say, a weak man here. Small shoulders, not broad shoulders. But anyway, really just looking for a breakdown below that swing low there at right around 100.788. This is my bigger picture on this. Again, the idea that the weekly pivot here is hold once, twice now. Yes, we got a dip above it, but pretty much came right back down, right? Over a couple of weeks. It didn't really get anything further. Just getting rejected here at this last kind of support level, right? That's all we did. Up here, big rejection, come down, rally back up, just a peak out higher, rejection again. Dropping down lower again should have us at least down to the S1 pivot, 93.82. Overall, if you think this is a head and shoulders here, then your target is likely to be closer to this 88.75 area based on the height of the pattern. So pattern target wise, you'd be looking to get down there. You can see here on the weekly that we haven't dipped into oversold yet. Not that we need to, but it usually happens. We just missed it here as we built that bullish divergence on that on this January 21 low, where we were talking about the reversal happening. But again, we'll see if we can get that breakdown there, as well as the breakdown here and the close, deeper into oversold there. For right now, my big picture, guys, is for right now, if we get a rally, I want to, I'm going to, unless we see this break here, I'm going to expect that further down. Okay. If we don't get a break up here, if we get a break up here, then we'll look at the idea that maybe this is a 1 and this is a 2. But again, to think that we have to get about this swing high right here, this almost a 115 area from down here, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You're going to have to get up here around 110, 112 before you really start thinking, okay, we could do further on that, right? But here's the thing. You don't, as a trader, why are you thinking that this right here means we have to break out here? As a trader, why are you even thinking that? Are you trading the weekly time frame? That's more, positional trading, more investing almost, right? If you're looking at the weekly, monthly, quarterly chart, stuff like that, you really get more toward that positional trading, which is really just shorter term investing. The larger the time frame you're looking at, the longer term investing. But yeah, so and if that's the case, I sure wouldn't be making a longer term decision based on this right here to go out higher up here. Right? Let's see that. Philbo says propane. Just kidding. That's what he's working on. Hank's got a chart here. It looks like, and I cannot pull up the chart on here. How do we do that? Well, I'll put this up there. Anybody that wants to kind of copy that down can jump it there. Hank's got a chart there. With this streaming, I can't seem to pull up that link. I can't just copy that link. Because when I go over it, it allows me to be able to pull you up there on the chart, on the screen like that. Yeah, don't forget to hit the like button, everybody. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button, please, and thank you. I would appreciate that. Share it. Let me see here. What else we got, guys? Let's see. Oh, gold, right? Because somebody was talking about big movements down, right? So here's that bigger gold chart. Potentially, right? You've got this long upper legged, basically a doji here at resistance, right? And it looks like you may be having a little fall through here, but pay attention, okay? Right now, you're still only at support, okay? Now, if you lose that support, then things start getting interesting, right? And you can see that I've got a potential wave 1 being done there, and that would give us then, if we're getting rejected here for wave 1, that would give us a wave 2 closer to this kind of area right here, right? This weekly pivot to that swing a little bit lower. You see where the high volume node? So basically, if we do continue this breakdown here, I'd be looking for a wave 2 right in this orange box here, which gives us around 1810 to 1840. That's where I'd be looking for a wave 2. And then watch out, right? Because wave 3 would be that big breakout all-time high, right? But, I could see us potentially breaking up a bit further here if we can find support in this area. You can see that right here is that whole previous area of resistance, right? So secondary resistance here after the breakout, right? Resistance, resistance, resistance. Resistance again, breakout, come back down, get rejected. Resistance again, resistance again. Now we're on it as support. This is the first time we're actually on it as support since way back over here in 2020. So again, yes, it looks like we're probably going to break down further, but until we do, I would give it the benefit of the doubt for now because it is the first time we've remained and held it as support there. So we'll see, right? The idea could be that this could become an extended wave 3 here, right? And you could potentially end up going all the way up here toward maybe even the R2 pivot to finish wave 1. And so if we do that, then wave 2 should pull back to this kind of previous area here. And let's see if we do that. We'd probably have to get a bit higher there. Extended wave 3 would probably have to get us up here around 24.30 or 40 or so. That way it gives us a 50% pullback toward this resistance to test its support and head back up there. And that would be clean. That would be clean. It doesn't have to happen that way. But again, if we were to continue to rally from here, I could see this overextending this wave 3 or even this wave 5 here, getting up closer toward, at least that 2300 area, if not the 2400 area. And then that gives us a nice wave 2 pullback down there. And so would we see that? I mean, it seems like Bitcoin lately, since that November low is running a lot like gold, right? So if we expect Bitcoin to have a big rally up, it wouldn't be it wouldn't be weird to see gold kind of do the same thing if it did, right? But we got to see what happens here. It looks like we're probably going to close right around this level. So we'll be looking at next week when it opens. Do we hold this support in this area right here or, and break up higher, or do we break down, in which case then we look here. And then we've just got a huge wave 3 that'll be breaking out and heading up after that, right? Coming up there around 25.75 or so. Let me see here. What other charts I got? Let's see here. Pyre, we talked about that last week, I think. Let's look right here. Again, the idea that we're looking for an impulsive breakout right in this area, right through the top of the range, which is right around $5. We're looking for a large candle spread, large volumes, large spike of volume to do so. Right now, we've just pulled back to the EQ in the range there. And then, so once we get a breakout, we're looking for either a rejection at the weekly pivot and a pullback to the range and then a breakout, or we're looking up to a breakout into the R1 pivot, maybe a bit higher, up toward, I could even see us getting up here toward this 18.5 kind of area, and then pulling back to this support right above the pivot on the weekly there, and then heading up on that, right? Don't call it Pyre. Why wouldn't I call it Pyre? That's what it is. Look, see, Pyre. People get too worried about what things are called, right? But anyway, so yeah, that's what we're looking up, right? With that going there. Let's see. Andrew, Mr. Bennett, you still looking at Biddy? Broke out of the downward channel. Looks like it wants to go to the pivot. Let's see here. I think you were the one that asked for that Biddy there in Discord, right? Biddy. Let's see what we got here. This is the short Bitcoin strategy ETF here. And so this is kind of what we were looking at. We've got this nice downward pitchfork here. We did get a breakout above, right back into the pitchfork. Currently finding resistance right at the high volume node, okay? Yes, generally you should expect Biddy to perform inversely to Bitcoin because it is the ProShares Trust ProShares Short Bitcoin Strategy ETF. Yeah. So they're trying to, again, this has to do with shorting Bitcoin, right? But you can see right now we're just kind of hitting this. If we look at the drop down here, the volume on that right there at the, we're just right there now at the point of control. And we're coming up on that interior resistance. We're at the high volume node overall, which of course is the same thing because there's nothing else being done over here, right? But even if we look at all that's been sold all the way, this level we're at's the really important level. If we can get rejected somewhere in here, we should go down further. Now, the daily Stochh RSI is overbought here, almost topped out, just about topped out. Yeah, 100. Generally, we had a bit of, let me see, is it that one? Yeah. Generally, we had a bit of hidden bullish bullish divergence. We have the higher lows here on the oscillator, lower lows here on price. But right now, it does look like 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it may just be an ABC. Let's see here. If we look at this, A up to the resistance, B on the pullback. 1, 6, 1, 8 could be a 3. Yeah, it could be potentially. We'll see. It kind of just depends. Do we get rejected in this area? Again, you can see that there's this gap right here, right around 21.5, 21.6, right there. And so we kind of rallied up into that a few times. We might be rallying at the same point that would hit the resistance right there coming down, as well as still kind of be just right around. It hits this, again, this low volume node. Rejections tend to happen at low volume nodes, right? Or in this case, see what happens, it gaps down through it. Again, there's when you're hitting this kind of cliff area here, you have to see, okay, do we get rejected as we move into it, which is what's happened here, or do we actually pop above it into the next high volume node there? But then even there, we've got this strong gap right here, right? So if we do that, I would be looking around 22.15 or so and see how price reacts there, right? That's what I'd be looking for. We do have a lot of volume coming here. So we had the volume coming off here. You can see we've got the expansion of volume, large candle spread, and we got more volume coming here. So definitely people coming in here, right? If you think about it in terms of Bitcoin, right? This is that, this is this previous area of support we're at on Bitcoin, right? That's where we're at here. And so this was that recent high there. So yeah, you've got a lot of volume coming on that sideways there. So we'll see how this plays out right here. But again, otherwise, yeah, we're almost at neutral. We're at 48, just over 48. Now we can look here though, again, we generally have this resistance right here a little bit higher at around 55, just on the bullish side of neutral. So again, got to be careful. If I'm pulling the weekly, where's the weekly pivot on this? Oh, geez, that weekly pivot's way up there. Now here we are, coming down through the S1, the S2, the S3. We didn't quite get into oversold on the daily. Daily Stochh RSI, though, is crossing bullishly. And so we want to see it break out of that oversold if that's the case. How would we count this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it gives us maybe an A and a B. 1, 2, maybe 3, 4, maybe 5 coming. Yeah, maybe a little bit further here. Even as an ABC, I don't know, that looks like a 1, 2 there. I guess that could be an AB. And then you get this huge C. That's kind of weird. Usually you want that B if you can. Usually try to get it around that midway range at least. Let's see here. Coming off here. I mean, that's got $11.69 target kind of area. Closer to the S4 pivot. So yeah, I mean, that's 5 waves down off the $45. I don't think so. Let me look at this again. This looks like it would be a 1, 2. This would looks like it would be a 3. I guess this could potentially be like a flat for a 4. But, here, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 5. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. It could possibly be. You got a lot of overlap here. You want to see how it happens because this overlap can act as resistance. Like what we're seeing on Bitcoin, right? The big thing, right? So you kind of want to watch this here. Let's get down to the daily. And then again, of course, the daily, the daily gets more interesting because we were looking at as a 1-2 here. And the daily goes 1-2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4 is a leading diagonal, or 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. ABC is 1, 2, ABC is 3, 4. See, I could still potentially get an ABC down out of that. So yeah, you want to see a breakout though, because you're just in all this resistance right here. Again, this big area resistance. If we can pop out above this, the daily pivot's going to change. It'll probably come down, around this 22.6 area, 22.7 next week. But yeah, if you can get that opens it up for sure, yeah. But that daily is running hard there. 4 hour, 4 hour is again, overbought there for a bit. What do we got here? If I look here, it looks like 1, 2, 3 or ABC. Oh, this could be a 1, 2, and then maybe ABC up, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me see what's the low here. The low right here is 1941. The low over here is 1941. Maybe a 1, 2, and then a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So it could be, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 on a pullback and a 5 up. I think you definitely want to get below this swing low right here, this $19.41. If you can get below that, of course, that's going to signal lower there. We'll go there. But yeah, it looks like it's making a good case, potentially, to be bottomed. But again, you're just now getting into all this resistance. So we actually have to see it kind of break out through that resistance. Locally here, it has broken out this local resistance. Let me see here. Is this a clean break? I like that. I like this break and retest. Head out of there. But yeah, there is this. You want to get above this kind of area right here. If we can get above that, then I think you've got a better call for further higher on that. But until then, just be careful. Even if it is, you'll probably get a pullback before it breaks out higher because, again, 4 hours looking pretty overextended. Daily's up there. 12 hours up there. Everybody's kind of up there at that as we get to that resistance. So I would just watch out for that. Okay? So yeah, a possibility for sure. And again, it's the same area that Bitcoin is, right? Again, Bitcoin is doing that whole kind of, we went up and then we went sideways, then we dipped up, and now we're right back down here, right? It's the same thing here. We did the sideways, or that we went sideways, dropped down, now we're back up. So yeah. Definitely some possibility in that. Watch it. Anyway, that's a wrap, guys. It's 12:30. I got to get out of here. I appreciate you guys joining in as always. Hopefully, if any, again, guys, you don't have to agree with my opinion about where price may be headed. In general, I tend to watch the longer term price targets. And I'm not here to convince you. If you think price needs to go down, I'm not here to convince you it won't. All I'm hoping to do is to maybe help you recognize if you're being emotional, and most likely you are. Most likely, most of us are, right? Emotions are hard. But it's trying to figure out, okay, are we really being emotional? Do we have invalidation levels that we stick to? Are we using proper risk management? Are we really being honest about the levels we're at? Again, I've got my idea where Bitcoin's going, but I said, yeah, we're at that resistance and we could pull back. And if we are, here are my targets on that pullback. But as far as being off the low, I've told you before, we've got to get there around, 18, 19,000, where we've got that significant support resistance. We've got to get below that before we really actually say, oh my God, we're probably heading, 10,000 or something like that. Until then, it's just a pullback on the way up. And, again, you're going to make easier money if you're trading in the direction of the trend, right? Does that make sense? I appreciate you guys coming in as always. Hasta la vista, Barbie. I see you there. Was that Woe Team? or Watt team. Good to see you checking in there as well. Hank, have a great have a great weekend, man. Using the kids' words there, touch of grass, huh? JC, good to see you as well. Yeah, as always, remember the only thing you control in the market is how much you lose. That's it. So if you would please just make sure that that's the one thing. If you guys haven't done it yet, make sure that that's the thing that you're doing the most. That's the where you're really putting your time and effort in. And then worry about these systems and these other ideas. Because if you do the other thing first, you're going to get it wrong often enough that you're potentially going to run out of your money before you have a chance, okay? All right, y'all take care. If you're in Discord, I'll see you guys there in a bit. I got a thing that I got to get done first, and then everybody else, hopefully we'll see you next Tuesday, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Take care.